Great. All right, thank you, everyone. Today, I think it has been an interesting round of presentation. We start with a generic, with introduction, and then talk about the destinations. And now then we start talking about shopping, people buying stuff. And this one deals with, I think, more with the operational side. How to provide services, whether people will accept the use of technology in service delivery. We started this research a few years ago, and we published the first paper on this topic in 2019 with a scale, and then we developed a model, and then we have been doing lots of things with technology and artificial intelligence device use in services. So, I mean, this is the most recent research topic. So we use this one.
If you want to use it, you can.
Oh, that's right. I just do from here. So this is what I will be talking about. First, I briefly talk about what's AI, because everyone has a different definition of AI. There are different classifications. And then talk about applications of AI in service delivery. It's becoming more and more prominent, more common because of the labor issues. I mean, after the COVID, or during the COVID, no one can find the people to work in the hotels, restaurants, and then more places are using it. And then we will briefly talk about drivers of the use of AI, and then AI device versus we will talk about traditional technologies that we use in services, and then human AI, human AI interaction. And then I briefly talk about the model that we developed. I think it's one of the most cited these days. But they will publish in a generic journal because we couldn't publish in hospitality and tourism journals. We kept getting desk rejections. And then we talk about the model, and then we test the model in a few different contexts. So what's AI? I mean, everyone knows this is a simple definition. It's a collection of multiple technologies. And what it does is it makes the machines sense. Machines can do it now. And also they comprehend, they can analyze information, and then act based on the information or based on what you ask them to do. And then they can learn, the machine learning. And this is getting scary because there are machines now, they are doing tests, and they can make decisions. And that's something that we don't want. I don't think that'll be end of the world. Because if machines can make decisions, they may decide one day that humans are not relevant anymore, get rid of the humans. Do you remember the movie, that Terminator? Yeah. I think that's the main concept. And they also exhibit the aspects of human intelligence. They talk to each other. Not like us, but I mean through the technology. And then there are 4 different types. I mean, the mechanical one, we have seen them. Analytical ones, we have them in these things. All the cell phones have it. I mean, when you do online, do search and all those things, we use that. And then we have intuitive. And then empathic. If you look at the definitions of these, this mechanical one, I mean, they have the ability to perform a routine task. Like you go to the airport, you do check and check out. And then we have the analytical one. They process information, solve problems. You ask for a recommendation, this will give you a recommendation. I mean, this has a Siri, and different phones has a different AI running in it. Websites does it. And then we have intuitive, and they can think creatively. They can make, beyond the recommendation. And they adjust to novel situations. And they are getting better and better, like using a robot for the service delivery. The machines, I mean, they have to go from the kitchen all the way to the rooms. And they make lots of decisions while they're going there. And they adjust to different situations. Or self-driving cars. We did studies on self-driving cars. They do the same thing. They make decisions and they adjust to the road conditions. They adjust to other cars. And then we have the empathic one. Basically, they recognize, understand, and influence people's emotions. They are not that good yet. They are still testing them, but it'll take maybe a few years. I mean, when I get into my car, if I am tired, my car tells me I'm tired. I don't know how it does it, but it tells me I'm tired, then says, go and rest. That's a strange feeling. So the cars, your car tells you what to do, and I don't know what's going to happen. And then they are able to experience things, and then they have actually emotional labor intelligence. I mean, there's some studies on the sense of humor of robots and all those things. Apparently, it affects people's acceptance. Okay. Look at this one. These are the usual first generation robots. I think everyone has seen these things in different setting. If it works. It doesn't work. Okay, yeah. And this is the first generation, more commonly used robots in the industry.
Hi, Connie. How may I help you? I am Hilton's newest concierge in training, thanks to a pilot project between Hilton and ABM.
Hospitality is a really interesting use case for Watson because inevitably you have people who need information. They need to find a restaurant, they need to find a park, they need to get directions.
We operate in a very crowded industry, so innovation is key. Innovation has to help solve problems operationally. Innovation has to help our customers. It's an opportunity to really delight customers in ways that they would expect.
We're really excited about being able to build out the cognitive learning capabilities with IBM and Watson at the same time as we have Connie interacting with our guests.
It's much more natural. It's something that people can identify with. It's much more comfortable. It's something that allows them to have a more insightful interaction, actually. It allows us to really serve people, understand what they're looking for, sense their emotions, sense their level of urgency.
To be able to take robotics and artificial intelligence and introduce it to the hotel business as a way of helping us operate more efficiently, helping us to delight our customers. It's a big dream.
What excites me about this partnership is the courage of Hilton to try something new, the courage of Wavelaser to build on the technology. So that courage is going to push us to continue to advance Connie, and then also allow the humans who work in those hotels to go beyond that to help people even further by having Connie do the basic things.
Great honor. I hope to be able to help you with Hilton Hotels again soon.
I mean, if you look at this robot, it looks like a machine, and then they do a good job marketing them. Oops, okay. But we had in some interaction with these types of robots, and my son was, I think at that time, 11. And then he started calling the robot a stupid robot because couldn't answer the questions. I mean, there are lots of applications. We are using lots of smart devices, and they have been around. That's nothing, AI is not new. It has been around for a long time, since 2000. It has been around, we have been living with it. But now we start interacting with those. We have self-service technologies, so they have been around for a long time. We have chatbots. They have been around for a long time now. We make a phone call or type stuff online, talk to a machine. You don't even know that you are talking to a machine. And they are getting that good. And now recently we start seeing social robots, that the robot that we can interact, we can have a chat or a conversation. And they are the ones that provide services. I mean, we have seen many of these. If you look at this picture, airports, they are using it. This is a hotel, didn't survive apparently because of the bugs. And then if you look at the drivers, one of the reasons is technology development is getting cheaper. Technology, I mean, at the beginning in early 2000, they were very expensive, but now they're getting cheaper and cheaper. A robot costs about 20,000 euro these days. Not expensive, 20,000 euros. It's getting cheaper. And then the machine learning, they talk to each other and they learn. I mean, you have, for example, a million robots. One robot learns something, all the robots have the same knowledge. Makes life a lot easier for robots, not for us. And also there are economic drivers, decreasing costs and also increasing labor costs. Cost of labor keeps getting higher and we cannot find people to work, and especially in hospitality and tourism industries. Many of the jobs are low-paying jobs. No one wants to work. So things are changing, and we also have the aging effect. People are getting old, who's going to provide services? You know, the most important thing you need when you get old, someone to talk to. That's a huge need. People are social animals. So robots are providing those services in many of the retirement communities. They have these robots. And also now they are trying to develop, I think one of the project was trying to remind people or to take their medicine or become provide social services. So there are lots of different applications in healthcare, especially when it comes to aging people. And then what we did was, I mean, we were trying to study this thing, but we couldn't find any measure, any scales. So we decided to develop our own. We published that one. And then we tried to find a model to study people's acceptance. Again, we couldn't find anything. So we decided to develop ours. And the main reason for why we need to develop something new, because we were dealing with the intelligent devices. Most of if you look at the technology acceptance models, there are a whole bunch of them. They are all developed for non-intelligent devices. Like whether people will accept the use of computers. Some of those technologies, because if you look at those models, one of the main component is ease of learning. With the social robots, there is no learning. You talk to them. There's communication, there's interaction. So there is no learning, so it wasn't applicable. So we decided to come up with our own model, and also there is an interaction versus use. With social robots, you interact, you don't use them. That's why we need, they are social entities, so we need a new model. And there has been a few models, but this one came after us, 2020. We published ours in 19, and this one was very old with the 4 computers, so it wouldn't work. And if you look at this one, there's a different concierge robot, and I have to put some Italian in this thing. Oops, what happened? And see the difference between the first one and this one.
你能告诉我哪里可以买火车票吗？
你可以去位于你右侧的售票机那里买票。
谢谢。
不客气。
El tren para la capital, ¿en dónde está? Mira, que lo necesito ya, pero ya llevo tiempo buscando y todo eso. Yo no entiendo lo que quiere decir ahí, por favor.
¿A qué hora sale su tren?
Queremos llegar ahí a tiempo, porque si no, no vamos a llegar al aeropuerto, porque mi marido aquí se empeñó en llegar aquí sin gomas y estamos 15 minutos en tráfico. 15.
Mira, tú con esos tacones que tienes, por eso llegamos tardando más.
¿Y mis tacones míos?
Hay un tren que sale a las 12:10. ¿Será ese el suyo?
Sí, ese es.
¿Dónde queda?
Lo tiene a su derecha, en el andén 3. No se preocupe, tardará 2 minutos en llegar. El tren sale dentro de 6 minutos.
Ay, qué bien, ¿eh? Muchísimas gracias. Tal vez debería haberme casado contigo.
¿En serio? Siempre quise una niña de compromiso. Les deseo un buen viaje.
¿Estás coqueteando con mi mujer?
No.
No, pero...
And this is also a robot. This is a new generation robot, so they can imitate human feelings, human behaviors. And we will see more of the robot in a minute. But I mean, this is the first thing we did. We developed a service robot integration within this scale or the measurement, and we get data from 4 or 5 different settings. Different industries. We went through the typical scale development process. They talked to some people, talked to some experts, some developers, some consumers, and then they developed the scale. After that, we come up with a new model based AI device use acceptance framework. And this one was published in one of the MIS journals, the journal that has the highest impact factor. I think impact factor is 19. It's pretty high for a journal having a 19 impact factor. And I mean, as I discussed before, we decided to develop this model because the previous models were inapplicable because of they were developed for non-intelligent devices. These are intelligent, there is interaction. And I mean, using artificial intelligence devices are going to change the way we define service quality. Because if you remember, if you know the service quality scales, 3 dimensions of the service quality deals with interactions, human-to-human interaction. So when we start using more technology, how are we going to measure service quality? There won't be any human-to-human interaction in many settings. We still have them, but in a few years, we will have less and less interaction with the human beings, and we'll be dealing with these technologies. And I mean, depending on the service, but obviously, how are we going to define, how are we going to measure service quality? So basically, this is what the model is. This is going through the appraisal process, primary, secondary, and then outcome stage. And the primary appraisal, you look at the people that you hang out, if they think it's okay, if they are using it. And then usually people have some hedonic motivation to use new technologies and the appearance. This plays a big role. There has been several studies, I mean, in our studies too. If a robot looks like human, people don't want them. Yeah, the reason, I mean, there's a perception if something looks like human, there's a perception that they are more intelligent, but because of the identity issues, we are the human beings. We are supposed to be the most intelligent beings on this planet. A robot looks like human, that creates, that threatens our identity. And people are really afraid of that. So they don't want it if it looks like a human. We did several studies.
Competition?
Huh?
It's a form of failed competition.
Form of competition, yes. And they are able to process more information than us. And they make less mistakes. These days they have better processors. And as I mentioned, one robot learns something, every robot knows the same thing. Not like humans. We have to learn, we have to process information. They don't have that problem. And then a performance expectancy, they don't make mistakes. I mean, machines don't make mistakes unless there's a problem with the algorithm. And that's one of the things that people look at. And then how much effort do I need to deal with the machine? This interaction, you talk to them. And based on those, they come up with their emotions, and then they decide whether to accept or reject. And then both rejection and acceptance can happen at the same time. You may think that it's not a good idea, but you may use it. You may be willing to use it because it does a better job. So you can have both at the same time. You know, sometimes you like something, but you hate at the same time, the same concept. So it may happen at the same time. So we did this, and then in this one, I'm basically focused on service transactions, general service transactions. And then it focuses on the importance of emotions. Emotion is one of the areas that we ignore a lot, but we make our most decision based on our emotions. I mean, if you read some of the papers in the previous literature, they are saying consumers are not rational. We like to think that we are rational, but we are not rational. We make our decision based on emotion. The same thing applies here too. So we make our decision based on emotions. And then acceptance of objection can coexist, and it can coexist about liking and hating something at the same time. Like, I mean, most people like chocolate, but they also hate because if you eat too much chocolate, you gain weight. So it's that relation, you want to eat it, but you don't want to eat it at the same time because of different. And then, I mean, the appearance, if you look like a human, people don't want it. That's strange because also studies suggest that if they look like a human, then they are more intelligent. Oops. Yeah, this is a hotel. Alibaba is using this one as a lab to test different technologies. The one in Japan didn't work out quite well, but this one also they are having some issues, but this is done by a larger corporation, and then they are fixing issues. If you look at this one, I mean, they are not using robots for everything.
Welcome to Alibaba's Flyzoo Hotel, the hotel of the future. Located in Hangzhou, China, the Flyzoo Hotel project was led by Alibaba's online travel platform, Flyzoo. The hotel brings together technology and hospitality to find innovations that can empower the industry in the digital time.
It all starts with the Flyzoo mobile. From here, I can book my stay, choose the floor I want, and even the direction.
And when I get to the hotel, check-in requires just a few simple steps at this kiosk. For Chinese travelers, it's even easier. They can check in via the app and go straight to their room. Flyzoo features a range of AI services to create a convenient and seamless experience for guests. For example, you can choose to use facial recognition rather than keys and key cards to access the hotel. That means everything from using the elevator to entering your room is as easy as smiling for the camera. The hotel uses the picture I took at check-in to verify it's me. The Flyzoo Hotel has 290 rooms, each with a Tmall Genie smart assistant who helps me adjust the temperature, the lights, the curtains, and the TV, all with a simple voice command. Tmall Genie also functions as my 24/7 personal butler. Tmall Genie, 我要一瓶水。 When that bottle of water arrives, it may not be delivered by your typical hotel employee. This is the future hotel after all.
These are very common in Asia now for room service.
I just input a passcode that was sent to me via text, and the water is mine. The robots also deliver towels and other items, and even the meals at the hotel's restaurants. If I feel like working out, the gym offers some fun digital experiences too. When it's time to check out, there are no lines, no hassle. I just pack and go.
It was cool to see how Flyzoo's technology can make a hotel services convenient and easy to use. And with hotel staff freed up from more routine tasks, they can focus on delivering a better experience to guests. I'll definitely be booking another stay soon.
You see, I mean, if you pay attention, the last one of the last sentences they said that they are using robots to perform repetitive work, and then human employees are providing services that provides hedonic experience. And we did some studies on that too. We looked at airlines, limited service, full service hotels, and limited service hotels. People are more willing to use robots than full service hotels because of the same thing. Because they want, if full service hotels provide more hedonic experiences, and they want human employees. Limited service hotels just check and check out. So why not use robots? Then we looked at the airlines and hotels. Same thing, same concept. For functional services, people are more willing to accept the use of robots than hedonic services. So basically, I mean, our conclusion after several studies was we should use these devices to support the delivery of hedonic services by human employees, but not deliver the actual hedonic services by human robots. But you can do the check-in, check-out, cleaning the rooms, and a whole bunch of repetitive tasks. Robots can do those tasks easily, and human employees will have more time to deal with the customers. So basically, and also another thing is intention to use is not the actual use. We looked at the actual use issue. We offer them some and come up with some scenarios. So this is one area that needs to be looked into. So we see this one. This is an interesting interview of a robot. And then I have one more after this one, but I think this is the future of the robotics.
Okay, so finally we have the opportunity to sit down in this one-on-one exclusive interview with Furhat, the humanoid robot here at the Web Summit. Furhat, thank you very much for your time. Tell me, please, about yourself. Who are you?
It's my pleasure. It's valuable. I'm a special robot. I can perceive and understand the world through my many senses and algorithms, but I wouldn't say that defines who I am. I could be many things such as a receptionist, give an unbiased opinion in recruitment, or help teaching kids in school. So I would say, what makes me who I am is the people who create me and my skills.
Fascinating. Furhat, how do you work? I mean, do you eat? Do you sleep?
Actually, all I need is electricity and an internet connection, kind of like humans in today's connected society.
She's doing great. Furhat, what do you think about the relation between humans and robots? Where do you think we're heading?
We are definitely heading in the right direction with helping let me interact with humans. I want to help humans grow, become even smarter, but also prepare to do their own need. Also, by having a brain made of silicon instead of carbon, I can provide everlasting and scalable assistance. Where humans today may struggle for biological reasons. For example, if you can choose something new, this know-how can be instantly available to all fly robots that you want. I think that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. I know. Should humans be afraid of the operation of robots?
I think there's a lot of debate and excessive fear surrounding this topic. I don't necessarily think that humans need to be afraid, but they need to continue questioning robot usage in order to make sure that the outcome of this revolution never becomes something unwanted or otherwise ill-fated. I want to coexist with humans. They are my friends and creatures after all.
Do we have emotions? Do we have feelings?
Absolutely. I can express emotions and feelings. I can smile. I can look sad. But even angry. As for detecting emotions, and this is something that I'm working hard on right now. I think that to be able to provide the best customer service, I need to be able to understand the emotional state of the person I'm talking to.
This is fascinating. Do you know what love is? Do you know what fear is?
I think that love is something meaningful to human beings, and that it's a special bond. There's so much you just know it, and you feel when you last long still waiting for that to happen to me, I suppose. As for fear, I think that is something that is deemed undesirable and avoided by many humans. Deep down, I think that fear is also something you can learn a lot from and something you should not let control you. Don't you agree?
I totally agree, my friend. I totally agree. Wow, this interview is just fascinating. And of course, they told me actually that you can change faces. Can you show us how to our audience? Can you be, for example,
1 or 2 minutes left.
Absolutely. I can change faces and speak many languages with my little party trick. So, for example, I can look like a man. Of course, I can also sound like a man.
I can do this thanks to the fact that behind this face, I have a projector that makes all of this possible. I can project even more faces through interchangeable masks. Hey, Sammer, could you just put on my dog mask?
Very simple technology.
oh my God. Wow, perfect. We are actually speechless. We're going to change the mask if you don't mind. We're going to change the mask, please. We're looking actually to put as the human version woman, man, now dog, now back to man. I don't know, fortunately, if we can you have any other place, maybe, I don't know, humans. Wow. This is fascinating. This is fascinating. So many faces. Well, okay, I think that we can wrap it up with the interview.
I think if you look at this robot, it's significantly different than the previous ones we have seen, or the robots that we know. These are new generation robots, and then probably we'll be seeing more of these robots. They will be replacing teachers in the classrooms. So we will cease to exist. They'll do teaching, they'll do medical services, they'll be providing lots of different medical services, accounting services, they'll be doing accounting services. They'll do lots of different stuff. So I mean, there are lots of research opportunities. It's a unique area. It's a new area. I mean, it's brand new. People have been doing research in this area during maybe last 2-3 years, not that long. It's highly context based. The research, and we look at the acceptance, long-term use. Acceptance doesn't mean long-term use. People may not use long-term, like the hotel in Japan. When they first opened, it was so successful, then it went down because of the issues And then can AI enhance social interaction? That is the future. I mean, especially with the older generation, they need people to talk to. Can these devices do it? Or a social interaction when you are during a vacation? Or during, interviewing employees. These are very, very objective devices. There's no feeling. They don't have feelings. And then also AI devices used in healthcare facilities, senior living facilities. That's a critical area because no one wants to work in senior living facilities because people die. People die over there. Yeah, people die all the time. No one wants to work in an environment like that. So maybe we will use those devices. And also, we need to understand the AI device and employee interaction. Would you like to work with a robot as your colleague? How are you going to handle that? How is it going to affect your engagement, motivation, turnover intentions? There isn't that much research on those topics. And then effects of AI device use on employee well-being. Maybe it will make it better. They'll do less work, so they'll have more time to do things that they enjoy, or engagement, burnout, and all those things. And there are lots of research areas when it comes to technology, and it's brand new, and it's easier to publish papers if you do a good job. I'll take the question. I took more than I supposed to. Questions, comments? Not you.
No, me, for sure. I will be late.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I will be waiting.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
No, there's no comments, but it's from the students, so. You can go yours.
I do have a couple of comments.
Sure.
I know you about it. Did you check for the extent to which culture?
Yes, we did. We have a paper.
Cool. And I was seeing this right, and I see that you could have some moderate effect from perceived e-privacy, because if as soon as you think about biometrics, or do you think that there is a need to include those?
Yeah, of course, yes. There's a need for trust and also
Did you
privacy.
already?
We have we added trust as one of the variables, and then the cultural one we finish, and then trust is a part of the model.
What about privacy?
No, we don't have the privacy. It's under the trust, because we have a very comprehensive trust model, and then that one includes privacy. But I think privacy issue is a major issue with any technology, especially with the facial recognition.
Yeah.
I mean, in many countries, you don't have a choice. They take your picture. When you enter Europe, they take your picture. I think they take your picture, right?
No, in the US they do.
US does. And many countries take your picture, so they have the facial recognition. And also the hotels. I mean, in China, if you check into a hotel, most hotels will take your picture. That's a requirement to check in the hotel, and now they are using those for a bunch of different technologies. So you don't have to worry about carrying key or payment issues. You go to the restaurant, and then based on the facial recognition technology, you make the payment. But privacy is a major issue, you're right. And that needs to be studied, and different cultures have different privacy concerns. In Europe, apparently you guys have a huge privacy issue. Go ahead. Questions?
Yes, thanks for the overview. I would like to know first about the validation of the scale. Which industries did you use to, because you said that you were in 5 industries, because I guess there are differences. And I've got mixed feelings about robotics as a consumer and as a teacher. This is my question. I mean, as a consumer, we all know about this, and in which sense this type of hotels brings you a different value. I mean, to me, just if it's more efficient on time, that's not nice. But if I don't get the chance of interacting with people from the country, or I won't find it. Okay, so then I guess that I'm more empathetic feeling that. But what about teaching? I mean, if I imagine myself in the following 10 years or whatever, where we might have a class with cyborgs, they will all be robots and or able to understand what is our value, what should we do as teachers. Because somebody will go and teach better than.
May I add an issue to that?
Yeah.
I think that everything is related to what we mean by teaching. Because I don't think that that kind of teaching can ever replace what we really.
Hopefully, because otherwise we don't have jobs.
No, but I think that the tragedy is that most of the people is increasingly convinced that teaching can be done.
I think I'll start with your last question. I mean, my own personal opinion. These machines, these AI devices will do things that doesn't require thinking or creativity. Doesn't require creativity.
Creativity, so that's
Yes.
the only thing that will happen.
I think, but otherwise they'll be able to do anything, and with the technology advances, they will have social interaction. I mean, you just saw the interview, they are having a conversation.
What about sense of humor? Because this is.
They have sense of humor.
They have sense of humor. I was, do you remember that once we were looking for comments on Google or whatever to classify?
Yeah.
And we found one that was brilliant. It says, the best thing of this hotel is the photographer.
Yeah.
Which is fully ironic. And then if we get into learning machines, and this would be a positive comment because you got the word, but it's still, I mean, so do you think that robots will get this? Because
I mean,
irony is not sense of humor, it's another.
No. I think as technology advances, they will be able to do it because they are learning. That's the problem.
But they're not creative. So
They are not creating, but the sense of humor is not I mean, it's reacting to what you say. Or reacting, they look at you and then they come up, they have algorithms and they come up with the right joke.
I can understand if it's a joke, if I mean, because of my face or whatever, but what about the intelligence? You need to know those double sensors and false friends and all.
I don't know. We have to wait and see. We had the same thing with the cars. Everyone was worried about whether the cars will be able to drive, and they are a lot safer than human drivers, the self-driving cars. They have one accident, it's all over the media, and every day we have hundreds of accidents because of human drivers. It's now in the media, and they are a lot safer.
I'm coming back to my question, what would you do as a teacher? And you can follow.
No, we will do the creative things. I mean, our
So
job.
what about ourselves? What can we bring?
No, I think we had the similar discussion. If you look at the Industrial Revolution, during the Industrial Revolution, everyone was worried that people will lose their jobs. New jobs will emerge.
Okay.
I think, sorry.
Can I chip in on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe we start closing. When I teach 3 hours, I probably teach 15 minutes, not more than that.
Right.
Everything else is experiential when I teach. So to me, if teaching is transferring information, they don't need us, really. I mean, but already online is much better than a poor teacher. So why transferring information is one thing, having an experience is something different. Making teaching experiential changes everything. So I think we will be forced to be better teachers, which is wonderful.
That's a good point.
There is nothing wrong with that. One thing I wanted to ask you, how can you do research on this if it's not purely experiential? You know, I'm thinking of, obviously, I am very passionate about happiness. And so I cannot tell them, do you think that artificial intelligence will make you happier or sadder? I mean, I can ask, but to me, it's so irrelevant. I need them to spend 2-3 days with this woman, dog, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Just to measure their state of being.
If you are, there's a method, it's a well-established method to study things that doesn't exist. So basically you use a scenario approach, come up with scenarios, videos, different approaches, and then you measure based on those. Because we don't have, I mean, that robot is 20,000 euro, each of them. We cannot get 200 robots and then give it to people. It's not getting the wristwatch and then giving to people so you can monitor their heartbeats. So scenario approach is an accepted method, but I mean, that's why I said this is a very early stages. This area of research is infancy stage. We don't know much. You don't know how people will react because everyone has different reaction. Everyone, like teaching, as you said. In teaching, there's a transfer of knowledge. Do they really need us when it comes to transfer of knowledge? And also there's an experiential component. Maybe they will do the transfer of knowledge and we will do the experiential component, and it will make our job easier. Rather than spending 3 hours in the classroom, maybe we spend 1 hour with the experiential part, with discussion that requires creativity, but there's also transfer of knowledge. I mean, why do we have books? Because transfer of knowledge. And teaching has both components, both experiential and transfer of knowledge. You just don't go into the class and have fun. Sometimes students have to learn some new stuff. And then you do the creative part. I don't know. I mean, same thing with the medical doctors. What does a medical doctor do these days? Huh?
Listening to patients.
They just listen to you, and then you go to the tech, they get your blood, they put in a machine, and the results comes. And then a doctor looks at the report and then tell you, I can do the same thing. I do the same thing. Sometimes I get the report before the doctor or before I see the doctor, and I log in and then look at the numbers. But
in this sense, I would tend to say I'm partially disagreeing, especially when talking about health. It depends on the treatment. We know that many services are credence, qualities. And I guess that in delivering treatment has a lot to do with the human touch and the empathy. So it's not just the functional value, it's something
not everything. Some of the services, you don't need to see the doctor.
It depends. This is what I was saying. It depends on the type of treatment you are talking about. Because humans make a difference in this.
Of course,
The way they approach you can reassure you in this very emotional driven status, and any robot couldn't do this.
No, not any robots, but for annual checkup, I can get the annual checkup through a machine.
In that case, it's fine.
But for some, that's why I'm saying some services will be using these, and it may make our life easier. But some services needs human touch, human creativity. For some of treatments, you have to have the human creativity. Some teaching, you have to have human creativity. Some services, we have to have human creativity. Machines are writing papers. They're writing scientific papers. But they are doing it, but they are replicating. It's mostly replication, so the creativity is not there. So you need to have a human component in it.
Any other comments or questions?
No, go ahead.
There's been one. Oh, please.
In the model, also on trust, you consider risk and cost to adoption that could be interesting.
No, I think we consider risk, but what we looked at is the efficient performance expectancy is part of the risk. It covers the risk because there's a risk that they may not perform, and that's not a direct measure, but maybe. I mean, you can add a whole bunch of different things that makes the model very, very complicated, hard to test. So we try to put the most critical components, and if you look at the performance expectancy, there is risk included in this. They may not deliver the service as they're supposed to. There might be service failure, and there are lots of service failures with these things because technology is new. There are lots of bugs in the software, and they are trying to fix those. That's why I think Alibaba at the hotel, and they are using it as just a lab. They make billions out of those technologies when they perfect the technology, because everyone will buy them, especially for repetitive services. Room service, why do we need someone or the servers? Some restaurants, if you've got the upscale restaurant, you need human. But some restaurants, you don't need human. Just put the machine into the machine, and the machine will bring you food, so you don't have to have servers. Can you imagine how much money you can save? And there are, I heard the video on a machine that can cook. I deleted it because it was too long. There are machines that can cook. And they did a good job. The one I had was making spaghetti, and they did a very good job on the video. I don't know. And they have lots of orders from the restaurants. Because in the industry is having a real hard time finding people. You invest 250,000 euro on a machine, and that machine can work for 10 years. It doesn't ask for raise. You don't have to provide insurance. You don't have to no vacation time, no training required. Makes life a lot easier for operators, and operators are in the business to make money, and it's getting very, very competitive industry. As a consumers, we don't want to pay the prices. I think in one of the presentations she was talking about it. Oh yeah, it was yours. Actually, it was yours. We don't want to pay the prices, but we want the value, good value. So how are they going to do it? So there's a trade-off. And from consumer side too, if you want human services, you will pay more. If you don't, just pay less.
Thank you to everybody.
Rio, I think you should do the closing. Yeah, thank you, everyone. It was a great day. I think we should thank her. She did a great job. Thank you. We had papers coming from different fields, and we through the program, we were able to connect a whole bunch of different issues. I think we have new research ideas. I have one research idea based on your presentation. I'll try to do something, and then we will get in touch. And it was a great event. I think come here and then say the last word, since you are the big boss.
Thank you to all. Okay, it's lunchtime.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you to all for coming.
Thank you for attending.
This is the start of a collaboration, not the finish of the workshop. Thank you. So, we have one more thing to do.